Welcome to Brain Thunder, where we interview millennial entrepreneurs, founders, scientists, commentators, and everything in between. Millennials who make a difference in their industry. With me today, I have Nikita Gupta, who's the co-founder and CTO of Simba, a venture-based, all-female founded tech startup on the future of work. Nikita herself is a computer science engineer, and through her software, she's helped power over 5,000 new job opportunities, including internships and apprenticeships. She has received numerous awards, including being recognized as a leader in the future of work, being Forbes 30 Under 30, as well as 40 Under 40 by the San Francisco Business Times. Nikita, welcome.
Thank you. So nice to be here.
Of course. So I kind of want to talk about the future of work and kind of start with that. I know Simba is heavily interested in that. So how does your company help shape that transition into this new operating model, the future of work, which has very heavily changed over the last couple of years throughout the pandemic? 86% of employees said that they're more effective when they work from home, and interestingly, 2/3 of employers agreed, and they said their employees are much more productive when they work from home. How do those statistics fit into Simba's mission, what you guys are trying to do in your company, and how does that add on to that future of this hybrid flexibility that we keep seeing in the workplace?
So Simba's not for the Lion King, but our mission is for symbiotic relationships to really open up the workforce. Mm-hmm. It's providing both the employer and the employee a two-way positive relationship, so it comes back full circle. Mm-hmm. So as we know, over the last 2.5 years, remote work is here and it's here to stay. Mm-hmm. And allowing to operate in a remote functionality has allowed companies to tap into talent from all different corners of the world, right, and all different backgrounds, not just limited to the people that are living in the same city. Mm. So our software is helping companies, especially in the early talent space, help expand and dive into talent from different pools of the world. Mm. So for internships, apprenticeships, but more specifically internship programs, companies are accessing early talent. They're tapping into students from different geographies and are bringing them in to nurture them through a remote internship, so that way they can become future leaders at the company.
I love that. What has your experience been when it comes to employers? I'm guessing that not every employer is going to be open to that change. So what has your experience been in terms of different industries and different types of employers in accepting this new way of doing things? Have there been points of reluctance? And if so, what is the advice you give them? What are you seeing?
There has definitely been some pushback, and we totally see it. Those are the employers that are so used to having their employees back at the office so they can be monitored, they can have that in-person relationship and experience and have those meetings. One thing that we are seeing, so most industries can operate in a remote functionality, except medical, construction, and a few here and there. But for tech, for healthcare, biotech, financial industry, a lot of it can be done remotely. So one thing that we are encouraging our employers to think about is that give your employees the flexibility, have them work remotely, but then have these quarterly retreats where you're able to bring everyone together. And if you can't bring the entire company together, at least have different departments meet up in different geographies where they can come together and brainstorm specifically on the work that they're doing.
Yeah. So basically have those like in-person retreats so people can still bond and do those activities that are so instrumental in developing a work culture and an ethic that I guess leads to that loyalty that leads people to stay. And I'm guessing, of course, if your employees are productive. There's various milestones, there's various internal metrics that as companies put into place, and you know if it's working or not. So it's the best of both worlds, right?
Exactly. They have the flexibility to do whatever they want, travel, but then just come together and have those team bonding experiences in those in-person retreats.
Exactly. I read a very interesting statistic the other day by the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, which said that 47 million people left their job in 2021, which was, one would argue, an unprecedented mass exit. Yeah. Interestingly, a different statistic said that only 1 in 5 workers regret that. So the vast majority of people that left during that great resignation are happy they did so. What do you make of this? What do you attribute this great resignation to?
I think the biggest cause in people resigning was that they weren't given the flexibility that they desired. So because a lot more companies were transitioning into fully remote teams, they decided to resign from their old company to go to these new companies that were offering remote working as a benefit. And that was probably one of the biggest reasons for this exodus. So now people are realizing the benefits of remote work. They can be with their family, they can be more productive, and they will start to migrate towards companies that will offer benefits that fit them. There are definitely people who want to go into the office. We are seeing hybrid plans of, employers bringing in their employees about 3 times a week. But as some of them are mandatory, some of them are really flexible. So again, it just depends on what employees are looking for and what they want that's going to be best for them.
Do you think there was a buildup even before the pandemic to this type of remote work? And was the pandemic almost like the crystallization of said changing attitude and sentiment towards working? Or what's your view of that?
So at Simba, we've always believed that remote work was very powerful. It was a way to tap into talent. From our experience before the pandemic, not gonna lie, it was very difficult to sell the concept of remote work. I think the COVID experience made everyone realize that it is here to stay because no one was forced to work from home unless they had to, because we couldn't go into the office when COVID hit.
Of course.
So I wouldn't say there was too much of a buildup, but then when people realized the benefits of it, they were like, okay, this is great. We're going to try to make it happen.
And I'm guessing the employers also probably are currently having a harder time pushing back, because right now we've had the proof of concept that remote working works. So there's not much reason to push back, right?
Yeah. And there's a lot of companies that are offering remote work. So now companies are fearing that their employees will leave if they can't give them the benefits that they're looking for.
And they're going to lose the best talent, which is a lose-lose.
Exactly. There's a big talent war out there.
I want to focus a little bit on you. And, I speak to a lot of female founders and they all have such exciting stories. If you could tap into one of your experiences, any experience throughout your life that you think has really shaped you and shaped what it is you're trying to achieve through Simba, what would you say?
So one of my most pivotal experiences was when I was a software engineering, a big Fortune 50 company, and I did not have a mentor to look up to. In that team itself, it was predominantly men, and even up the ladder to get to the C-suite, it was all men. And I was fearing that, hey, I'm not seeing any diversity here. I don't see other women that look like me here. What is my future in this company going to be like?
Right.
And that was one of the biggest driving forces for increasing diversity and having a larger set of interns to begin with at companies, which is what helped me drive and which is the motivating factor for Simba. That if you don't start at a diverse intern workforce, it's going to be very hard to have a diverse full-time employee workforce at the company.
Totally agree. And it's a perfect segue into my next question. And kind of what are your thoughts on early talent development and diversity, and how does that fit into the status quo right now in large companies? We know large companies are putting their best foot out there and trying to be more diverse, trying to hit those numbers. Are they doing well? What are your thoughts?
So before, a lot of companies could only target and recruit students from very limited schools. Now, because of remote, they're able to go into and tap into different programs and different geographies. Companies still have a long way to go to improve the diversity metrics in their organization. A lot of our customers use Simba to track that, like what their genders are, what their ethnicities are, what different backgrounds they're coming from, different locations, trying to test different socioeconomic backgrounds and progress that from program to program and see how much it's able to improve. There's still definitely a lot of improvement, and it really just stems at, are these internship program coordinators ready and willing to go to hire diverse workforces?
It's 100% important, and it goes back to your life experience of, being in this bigger company and not really seeing that many people that look like you, because that can also feel discouraging and not really feeling like there is a place for you there and you have a future there. That's super powerful, and I'm glad that you guys are handling that through Simba. That's amazing. Tell me a little bit more about growing a remote team. And the consensus generally is that it's really important to hire the right people, and that includes people that understand what it is that the organization is trying to achieve. But how does that really play out in practice?
So my co-founder and I actually started off remote in the first place. When we both met in DC, then both of us decided to go back to our homes to incubate Simba together. Couldn't afford rent without getting paid. So we already did start off remote. What we did realize is that we were able to bring on friends to join and help us, or really close acquaintances that were able to help us grow Simba. And they were all based in different geographic locations. We also didn't have to get an office and force everyone to come to the same city. So that really helped us as we grew our remote team. Now we don't have any restrictions from where we're hiring from. We have employees from all different time zones in America, and we also have an international engineering-based team too. So work hours are definitely challenging, but you can always set your own schedule. But it allows us to be really proficient, really efficient with all of our work, and again, tap into different locations and not have to worry about bringing everyone to the same city.
I know we very briefly spoke about this offline, but I'd like to hear a little bit more about your fundraising process. TechCrunch, interestingly called raising money catastrophically challenging for female founders. I'd just like to see if that's been your experience.
I could write a whole book about it.
Okay.
It's the harsh truth that investors will invest in people that look like them. And because there isn't a diverse group of investors in the first place, we're not seeing that much diversity in those companies that are getting funded. We've been told numerous times that our counterparts can raise more money without any traction. We've been rejected so many times. The bar is already set so high for female founders. You're asked questions that target how will you survive and how will you overcome obstacles rather than like how are you going to grow and how are you going to thrive. And that's been the biggest issue, is that it's so high for us already that it's been very hard to penetrate that. There are incredible investors out there. We are so grateful to have an incredible investor team who has backed Simba, and they're truly supportive of the work that we're doing. But in the end, it's the more companies that, the more female founded companies can raise money and become role models for future organizations, that's going to be the next big step. And we need investors to believe that female founders can also run companies very successfully too.
Absolutely. And it's interesting because I see that a lot with a lot of the female founders that I interview. The story is always the same. It's always the harder questions. It's always, how are you going to stay in the C-suite or CDO, CEO, CFO, whatever it is, as opposed to how are you going to really thrive and excel. So thank you so much for today. It was so amazing talking to you. Here's to the next one.
Thank you.
Please like and subscribe for more content. Thank you.
It's that new age, ain't it something special? Yeah, we gon' change the game, we gon' live forever. Yeah, it's that new